and welcome back to the Mike Dolbear Web Show, and we're still in EastWest Studios in Hollywood, Sunset Boulevard. And today we've got a Brit joining us. So on the sofa today, please welcome to the sofa, Kaz, Tosh, and Paul. Thank you, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure.
So, Kaz, why are you over here in Hollywood?
Just needed a vacation.
And you thought you'd come and join us?
No, yeah. Well, it was really like spontaneous. Actually, I was heading to Nam, and then I got a call from Sarah, and and Paul was favouring it as well, and they were like, "Well, we need to have Kaz over here and do the shoot." And I was like, "Oh, where is it?" And it was like EastWest Studios, and I was like, "Wow!" And then you mentioned about the history about this place, and I was just mind blown.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, first, it's the first time we've met, Tosh.
Yeah.
And so thank you for not only being part of the show, but also for keeping your shirt on.
Yeah.
To be honest, every time I've seen you, and I was thinking of doing the show without my shirt on, but to do it. But to be honest, I don't.
We can't pull it off like you.
Yeah.
And Paul, we go back a long time. Paul, you're part of the Zildjian family, really. You're responsible for making all the cymbals. So let's get some questions out of here. So
Okay.
I'm going to start with you, Paul.
Okay.
You're a drummer.
I am.
Okay. I'm guessing when you were younger than maybe Tosh, you wanted to be a drummer, touring drummer, etc., etc. And so what pushed you into the field that you went into?
Oh wow, this is I'll try to do the Reader's Digest condensed
Yeah.
version. If you guys know what these are. So yes, I wanted to be like these guys. I wanted to be a full-time professional drummer, and I was kind of going down that road. I had been playing drums since I was 10 years old, and after I got out of high school, I attended Berklee College of Music and thought maybe I'd be a music teacher, and I decided after a couple semesters that that really wasn't the route that I wanted to go. I just wanted to play drums. I really love music. I grew up in a household where music was always being played. I had an older brother and sister, and I got exposed to a lot of great music like The Who and Zeppelin and the Beatles.
Oh, the good bands then, yeah.
So if my brother wasn't playing those bands, my sister was playing Heart or Fleetwood Mac or Frampton Comes Alive, double album. When Peter Frampton still had all his hair.
Yeah.
So after I decided I didn't want to be a music teacher and I left Berklee, I was still studying drums privately. And I was
still following that dream.
I was still following that dream, and my drum teacher said, "You have a couple, opportunities if you just want to really do a deep dive into drumming." He said, "You could go to Musicians Institute out here in California, which would be like a big long haul from Massachusetts, where I was from, or there's a school in New York City called Drummers Collective." So I decided to write away to Drummers Collective, and they sent me a pamphlet. This is how long ago it was. This was 1988.
Yeah. Oh, Tosh is a bit young. We need to tell you what a pamphlet is, okay?
It's like a menu.
Yeah,
it's a menu.
Piece of paper.
It's a menu.
So it's like the thing you get on the email, except it's real.
Yeah, it's real. Yeah, you actually get a bit of paper. It's amazing.
That's
right. It's like toilet paper, but it's got instructions on it.
On it.
Yeah, there you go. So,
I think I get it.
So I went to
toilet paper.
I went to Drummers Collective in 1988, and at the time, the longest program they had was 10 weeks. And the intention was that you would go there and get fully immersed in all kinds of different styles and take all the materials from the teachers, and then you go home and you continue to develop your craft and then get out into the world and playing. So when I got back home from Drummers Collective, I was auditioning with bands in the Boston area and waiting for some callbacks, but during the day I was sleeping all day like any good drummer would do. Right. And one night at dinner, my parents...
By the way, that's why you didn't get the gig, because you were sleeping. Everyone else was out there practicing still, but carry on.
So one night at dinner, my parents said, "We fully support this passion, obviously, but until you're playing full-time, you have to get a day job if you're not playing full-time." So I had called my drum teacher back up and said, I'm back from New York, and can I come in and see you? I'll bring the materials that I got from Drummers Collective. So we talked for a while, and I said, I kind of have an ulterior motive. My parents are on my back, and they told me, I have to get a day job until I'm playing full-time. Can you call Zildjian? Because he was very good friends with the Zildjian family. And I had some friends right out of high school had worked at the Zildjian factory for a while. So I figured I could go and kind of be part of the instrument that I play and not have to go to an office and look at a computer screen. So I went in and I interviewed with the factory manager, and he had studied with my drum teacher too. And after an hour interview, he said, "I'm not going to hire you." And I said, "Why not?" He says, "Drummers don't get up in the morning."
Okay.
Oh.
So I said, "I'll be here at whatever prescribed hour you deem is appropriate." And he said, "I'll think about it." And then he went on vacation for 2 weeks. And I was calling the factory every day, like, "Are you going to hire me? Are you going to hire me?" And they had to track this guy down because, you know, there's no internet, there's no cell phones.
Yeah.
So they tracked him down at some hotel that he was at. He says, "Oh yeah, have the kid come in." And I started literally sweeping the floor my very first day. They gave me a pair of safety glasses and a broom and said, "Sweep the floor."
Wow.
And then I started to learn how to lathe cymbals. And then after I did that for many years, I started to learn how to test cymbals under Leon Chiappini. And he's still at the company. He's been there about 57, 58 years. He's pre-Beatles.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
And I just continued to climb the ladder. And
You're still sweeping the floor though.
well,
now,
you know
even
what?
now.
Some days I prefer sweeping the floor.
So what is your exact title?
Oh,
Job title?
I have been giving a new title recently. I went from Director of Research and Development to Director of Cymbal Innovation.
Okay. And do you still play the drums?
I do still play the drums. I rehearse once a week with some great musicians that I've been playing with for 10, 15 years. And we gig out occasionally. We don't gig out every single month like we used to, you know, a couple nights every weekend, but I still play.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a lot of drum sets. So.
Well, I'm going to come to Kaz first.
Yeah.
Because about that, because we, you know, yourself as well. You are at that stage where you're developing your career. How difficult it is. What, you know, when you first decided you wanted to be a professional drummer, did you just think like, my goal is just to be the drummer in a big band and that's it? What, and when did you start going, actually, there's probably more to this?
Yeah, it was a massive learning curve for me when I was, you know, when I was younger. I was younger than Tosh, and it was, you know, I knew I wanted to be a drummer, so I just wanted to be, you know, I wanted a career in drums, and I said to myself, how can I do that? And I always had seen in London that you see like buskers, you know, people busking, playing guitar or just singing. I was like, well, they're getting lots of money for doing this. And I was about 10 years old. So I said to myself, oh, maybe if I kind of borrow, or I'll say borrow, but it was actually steal.
Okay.
From my school, my
Oh,
high
don't
school.
tell them what school you went to, for goodness sake. This is on
won't
camera
say.
now.
I won't say it because it's not even important.
They're still looking for you, by the way.
Yeah, they're still looking for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then I took a floor tom and a snare drum and a little hi-hat that attaches. It's like an X-hat thing. And I used to just take it on the tube, the underground. That's the subway.
Yeah.
I've got
Metro.
Metro.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I used to just literally busk on all over like Kensal Rise or like central London, like Shoreditch area.
Oh, wow. And how old were you?
I was 10.
Wow.
Yeah, so I wouldn't get any support from my family because they were like, you're not going to make money from this, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I need to get this as my job. This is my love and my life because I see so many colours. I'm like, I need to get it out. So I went and I started playing naturally. I was just playing to drums and I was just copying like through the, you know, I was listening to things on radio like Michael Jackson, like Thriller. I had the vinyl of it because that's the only thing I had when I was a kid and I was listening to it. I'm not that old, but we had a vinyl.
Yeah. Well, now they do. Young people do know what vinyl is.
Yeah,
It's
it's coming back.
completely
Yeah.
come
Full
back.
circle now.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So I was just playing to like imitating like Billie Jean and you know people were just crowding because I was 10. So it was like, you know, what's this kid doing it?
Yeah.
It wasn't legal, but I did it. But just to make, you know, £5 made my day. And then I said, I made £5. If I do this every weekend, I could get a drum kit someday.
I thought you were going to add it all up then. I can
Well,
get
I could
£10.
I can get £10 in a year. So yeah, I did it, and I got myself a drum set, and I worked for it. Yeah. So I knew it was possible. There was difficulties by doing the hard work, but it's so rewarding from having something that you've made for your own.
Yeah.
And that's from that moment on, I kind of knew I was like, now that I've got a drum set, I want to play a big gig.
Yeah.
Now in London, lots of people have the dream that is like, I want a big pop gig.
Yep.
I wanna just be on TV.
You would have earned more money busking. You realise that.
That is true. That is true. So busk, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And I did that, and I had the opportunity to do that, and I did like many shows. Like when I got to 18, I ended up, doing Cirque du Soleil, which was my first gig, and it was a big thing for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which was
really
like,
great.
oh, great. Like
You were one of the trapeze, weren't you? No,
yeah,
sorry.
I was. Yeah,
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
the snare drum at the same time.
Yeah.
But I ended up doing that. Came back, and then I got some other shows. I was playing with
pop tours. That's right.
And it was amazing. But then I said to myself, I really feel like there is more out there. And my head was saying, I was saying to my head, there was something else that I'm trying to get out, and it was my own music, my own sound. And it's because all the time I was playing these cymbals, and Zildjian was like the reason why I was hearing music. I didn't understand why.
Well, we'll come to that because that's quite an interesting topic. To bring you into this as well, Tosh. You started. You're 16.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you haven't checked this guy out, you've got to check this guy out.
He's special.
Yeah, he's special.
He's
very
bad,
special.
he's badass.
So,
Thank you.
But what you've done now, and again, this is sort of where casual involved in this as well. But what you've done is you've got an Instagram sensation. We were talking about this earlier. You've got young people now have got this opportunity where it's at their hands. Their social media is so powerful and so strong.
Yeah.
Can you remember the first video you posted?
I can.
And why and how and what? Tell me.
Yeah. So I was probably 12 years old, and I learned a lick that I saw Thomas Pridgeon play. So I was like, I know how to play this, and I'm gonna get his attention by posting this video, and I'm gonna tag him. So I went and I wrote on all his videos like, hey, check out my Instagram. I learned one of your licks and stuff, and I guess he ended up checking it out. And
did he send you a message back or?
No, but I saw he liked it, and he followed me on Instagram. So I knew that he had seen it. And then maybe 2 or 3 days later, he was playing right by my house at a bar as a NAMM after party. And I couldn't get in because I was 12, but my dad held me up in the window. And,
wow, brilliant.
Yeah, so I was really cool.
great.
I got to watch him play all night, and then he came out and he knew who I was and everything, so he was really totally cool about that, and
So cool, man.
yeah, man, it was crazy, and he was come to my clinic next week, and so I ended up going to that, and he let me play in front of everyone. It was so
nice.
It was crazy. It was a total dream come true because he was my favorite drummer at the time,
Yeah. So
Still is.
So how did that? I mean, you're getting more people looking at one of your videos than all the drum magazines in the world put together. I mean, are you just going out and playing? Is there a lot more of a thought process going into those Instagram videos? Because to be honest, a lot of people are doing this now.
Yeah.
And I have to be honest, I find I get very, it's just too much.
Yeah.
But sometimes, some people, you go, oh, actually, I find some kind of connection. And I mean, I watch your videos, and I like that. I like your passion. I like that. But did you plan that or?
Honestly, I never really thought about it that much. I never was like, oh, I'm gonna do this and a bunch of people are gonna see me. Like I said, I only wanted Thomas Pridgeon to watch it. I didn't care who else saw me.
Right.
I didn't care who was watching me play drums. And then he posted, or no, not, I'm sorry, it was Orange Amplifiers, the Amplify company. They posted me that night that I met him, and I got maybe 300 followers in just one night.
Wow.
And I was like, this is crazy, and I just remember my mom freaking out, what if one of these guys is weird? You don't want weird people looking at you playing.
Yeah.
It was so funny, and I was like, Mom, trust me, I want these people to see me, and
Right.
I was yeah. So I ended up taking my Instagram off private, all these people, and then it just kept growing, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna keep posting videos, and I just kept learning. When I would learn a drummer's lick, I would post it and tag them and stuff, and that's really where it started. And then eventually, I just started I'd be playing and I'd be like, hey, Dad, can I borrow your phone to post this? And I would just, I would just be film, this sounds cool.
So you would literally just be in your room,
yeah,
camera, bang.
Yeah, it was my dad's cell phone because my cell phone wouldn't post videos.
Okay.
And yeah, it was like, it just started, like, there was never really a thought process. Like, even now, like, what I post, there's nothing planned. Like, it's just, if I'm playing and I think something's cool, I'll call my little sister in to film me or something.
Yeah.
You know, it's really, there's no,
So
not a big thought process.
So because obviously you'd relate to this a lot more. Me being of the older generation, my children, I know that all they do is look at YouTube clips, and whoever they are that they're looking at, they follow those, and you see the kind of traffic they're getting.
Yeah.
So did, like, for example, the colour drum kit, okay, or the clothing, or, you know, did you sort of, what stage did you start going, maybe this is or was all of that an accident?
I would say a lot of it was an accident.
Okay.
Because I personally really like bright colors.
Okay.
And I just always have. And the drum set that I got, I was Andrew over at Thump Drums. It was for my birthday. I was getting a Thump drum set, and we went up there, and he was like, "What color do you want this bass drum?" And I was like, "Just do whatever you want with it, you know." And he's like, because he's really artistic, and so he went in there. He's like, he kind of wanted like the Mexican blanket type of thing, you know, like those blankets, and he went in there and just put a bunch of colors on it. And that's like, I was like, okay, that's really cool, you know. And so that's kind of like started to get where I started to get a lot of colors on my drum set. And yeah, like I always wore bright clothes. I used to wear like a bright bandana and stuff.
Okay.
That's amazing.
And yeah,
That's cool.
And more recently, I started wearing like a lot of bright socks and stuff, just because the artist that I play with, Nick West, she loves bright colors.
Okay.
And I don't wear a shirt when I play drums, so I was like, I need something.
Any particular reason for that?
It gets hot.
Yeah.
when I'm playing, and
That's smart.
The reason,
Especially when you're on the road.
yeah.
You got to wash your shirts every night. It's
Yeah,
like,
right. And the reason I started doing that, I guess I never really wore a shirt growing up, but like the reason I really started is just because we don't have air conditioning at my house. Like, so I was getting hot and I was in my living room.
Yeah.
And then recently we got a soundproof room. A friend of ours basically told us we could have it if we broke it down. And so we did that, and so that we put air conditioning in that. So, but I still play shirtless.
Yeah, well, I think it's
like a signature thing.
well, it is, and I
Yeah,
think
It's
that
become comfort.
yeah, I mean,
too.
and I find that it's interesting that I've been doing some stuff on female drummers, encouraging more girls, young girls, to pick up the drumsticks. Why they're not playing the drums. And recently, I posted a tweet about this, and a few people come back to me and said, "Oh, it's sometimes girls the way that their videos, they're this, that, or they're trying to dress like that." And I'm like, well, hang on, what difference does that make with a guy? Not, you know, it's or a guy that's got big muscles, or it's no difference. That's their thing.
Yeah.
Surely it doesn't matter what you do. Okay, because I want to come back and talk about the colours. So we're going to take a quick break, okay, and then we're going to come back and talk about these colours. So we'll be back in a sec.
The Giver G9 drum workstation separates itself from what is commonly known as an E-drum. It's time to take the next step. Welcome beyond digital drums.
Okay, welcome back. So let's just take a check of a performance that you guys did back earlier in the studio. So let's look at this. Okay, great performance. I want to continue with this topic on colours. You've got bright colours, etc., etc. You were talking about colours in your cymbals, and one of the conversations and discussions that's been had before is you talk about you see colours.
Yes.
So what do you mean by that?
So I have a thing called synesthesia.
Okay.
So this is something I discovered when I was probably about Tosh's age, that there were many other people that had that. I actually grew up thinking everyone had it, which is crazy. And I was called like every name under the sun, like crazy, weirdo, blah, blah, blah. And I was very into the fact that whenever I played a crash cymbal or a ride, or I would hear musical notes. And those notes on a piano, when I used to play like these notes that I heard on a crash, I'll be like, I hear this chord.
Oh, really? So you can...
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know what I was playing, but it's like I hear these notes in it, and then I play it together, and then I play that crash, and I was like, that's that. And that's how I made music to it. And then I could make music based on those notes. And yeah, it was just a weird thing, but that actually just obviously just crossfaded into the cymbal world, and I think that's in my career, it's just been the composing side of things. It's really helped like drummers actually understand it.
Yeah.
Because that's how I was acquainted with like writing music for like Aaron Spears and
yeah.
Chris Coleman and
yeah. Because I was going to ask you about that. I mean, before we go on to that, though, to bring Paul into this conversation.
Yeah.
So, is that something completely new and unique to the way that you would develop cymbals when you met Kaz, or have you met anybody before with talks about cymbals like this?
I'm aware of this, of people having this, but Kaz is the first person that I've, developed a relationship that can see this. And when he mentioned it to me, I kind of like lost my mind, because I think it's very, very cool, because I was taught coming up, developing cymbals, that sometimes a lot of drummers, they pick out the same type of sound, and we represent that as calling it a color. And I was always taught by Armin Zildjian or Leon Chiappini that when you work with drummers, you want to have a setup that has different colors. And we don't talk in hues of blue and green and red. It's more like you want a bright and a low
sound,
and a trash
and
voices. A cutting, voices.
Yeah.
But we would use the adjective colors. So when Kaz and I were talking at the PAS show this past November, I saw an opportunity to, all right, so how can we literally take this into a color spectrum? So I'm hoping that we continue to do that.
Absolutely.
In addition to how we already view cymbal sounds and cymbal development.
Yeah. Because I think it's quite important as well. The science and medical, it's got such an impact on music in general.
Absolutely.
And I think the companies or music has got so corporate that actually we've forgotten why we played the drums in the first place. We're just hitting things with sticks.
Right.
Just, that. And I think we get so far away that we forget actually that this is the enjoyment, or in your case, with the colours. I know this may be a strange question. So Tosh's kit, is different colours.
Yeah.
Do the colours you hear, are they specific? So, for example, when he's hitting his top tom-tom, is it a specific colour? And does it match the colour of his top? Have you not thought like that?
No, I do. I see. So the colour purple, which, like I think Tosh's aura is purple, and actually Paul's is violet.
Okay.
I mentioned that you were a very light shade of green. It's like the way that Tosh was playing matched his personality.
Right.
So the drum kit wasn't necessarily showing the cut. I'm more drawn to the cymbals. So when he plays, it actually matches his personality.
So it's the brighter.
It's the brightness, and he likes the bright, and it's like that standing out. And those cymbals that he was using today, there's some of the A customs, and they were standing out, and it's within his persona. So it's a very.
But would you, for example, I mean, you could take over Paul's job here, because would you be able to see an artist and almost be able to pick their cymbals for their personality?
But yeah, I mean, that's why today, when I was doing the performance, I had this, idea of like, Tosh playing the bright colours and I was playing the stacks, which, and actually, the stacks are the only cymbal that naturally make me smile. I smile because I have this thing, and I think Paul had seen me mention this at PAS when I played. On my right, I always have a blue cymbal. On my left, I have a yellow cymbal.
To you, that you say,
and there are certain cymbals that are in that category in different ranges of Zildjian series. And when I play them together, I smile.
Wow.
It's just a natural thing.
Yeah.
Like if I hear anyone else play those colors together, they don't know what's going on, but I start smiling, and I'm just like, they're like, "Why are you smiling?" And I'm like, "Because I played these colors together." But you know, you have so many flavors on it, so it was such a nice contrast between what me and Tosh were doing.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, I get fascinated by the sounds that. I mean, Paul's like a genius.
Yeah.
Like for doing what he does.
Yeah.
And I'm so
Thank you.
so honored to know that we have this great friendship, and you know, Tosh is like, everyone here is just like, they have beautiful colors to express,
Right.
whether it's in their playing or their imagination and creativity.
Can I add to what
Yeah.
he's saying? It's I've told him several times I'm kind of jealous because, you know, when you play drums or cymbals, there's certain frequencies. So there's certain cymbals that people like you that's really speak to you, and it's vibrating your body. But so he has like a double dose of it, because not only is it going to vibrate him, but he sees the colors too.
Yeah.
And it's very, very interesting
What
to me how that works.
I know about what you're talking about as well, because I have read about that, and I know away from music, it's a personality thing. And like I said, I think that for me, without getting too heavy on it, I think it's the wonderful thing about music, and like I said, drums, because music is about emotions.
Yeah.
You know, there's favourite albums that I've got that I remember, I don't know, the birth of my child, or driving down. You know, I heard Donald Fagen, Night Fly. You won't know that album, but Donald Fagen, Night Fly, which I heard in the restaurant this morning. I was like, oh well, I know where I was when I heard that, and I know that's a similar thing in colours. Okay, now we've come to a section which always worries me when I get to this section. We've come to a section
you should be
called
worried.
Show and Tell.
There we go.
Okay, so we're going to start. Let's start with Tosh. Oh, he's sitting back.
okay.
I don't know where that's going.
Oh, yeah.
So show.
He's going to take his shirt off.
Oh, no, keep your shirt on.
He got summoned. He was like,
So-
yeah.
Okay,
and
so I'm
so what
like,
have you got?
oh,
You're going to scare my abs. Scare the children.
What have you got to show us, and what you got to tell us?
I wanted to show my bass drum beater.
That's
Okay.
cool. I like that.
It's by a company called Knockout Beaters, and yeah, basically, I love this. I love the color purple, which is funny that you.
Oh, really?
say that.
So
That's
you
my
hadn't
favorite
met
color.
before?
This is how crazy it is.
Well, you know what
That's
the colour
right.
of my website is?
Yeah,
It's
well,
green. Wow. And that's the colour.
oh, see this one? Yeah.
Yep,
I just
anyway,
remembered.
sorry, go on.
That's crazy. Yeah, purple's my favorite color, and yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, like I love the beaters because they're just very custom to how I play. They're bright. You know, I love bright colors. Going back to that, and they sound nice.
Wow. And it's purple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
It has the Nick West logo on it. Yeah.
So Nick West was the bass player with Prince.
Yes.
Okay, and I know you've recently been doing some touring with her.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay, I'm going to come back to that subject in a minute, but come on.
You ready?
Come on, Paul, what have you got?
Well, seeing as we're doing purple, so I
you
make
serious?
cymbals for a living, and it just so happens, well, this has some purple hues to it. But can I tell a quick story about this?
Yes, well, that's what it's for. Show
Okay,
and tell.
so this is the 14-inch trash former, and this was originally part of the, as you say in the UK, ZXT series. And this cymbal came to us by the way of Mike Mangini. And he had a student that had a really kind of inexpensive cymbal that ended up being bent through being played. And this student brought it into Mike during a lesson, and Mike phoned us up and said, I have this really, really cool special effects cymbal, and you guys have to make it. So the cymbal comes into the factory through one of our artist relations managers. And this is, you know, we're going back, this is 2000, 2001, you know. And, you know, bent up cymbals and cymbals with holes and stacking is really, really prevalent now. But back then it wasn't. Okay, so this was like a radical idea. So it comes in, and it's in this plastic shopping bag. And it's given to me, and I pull it out, and I look at it, and I start to kind of go, well, wait a second here. You know, we're working on serious cymbals here. We can't be bothered with these bent up. We can't ask people to buy essentially like a broken cymbal.
Yeah.
So I said, I'll take the cymbal, you know, and you can see it's all it's all messed up, right?
That's
okay.
crazy. Yeah.
So
I love it.
Yeah. me
I
too.
bring it down to my desk, and where my desk is in the factory is attached to the cymbal testing room. And it just so happens there's Armin Zildjian speaking with Leon that I keep talking about. Okay, so these guys are like my mentors. So I said, I'm going to put this thing to bed. This crazy idea that's kind of silly in my mind at the time. And I knock on the door, and Armin Zildjian waves me in. And he says, hey, what's going on? And I said, hey, boss, I got the cymbal I want to show you. And he says, yeah, give it to me. So I hand him the plastic bag, and he pulls out the cymbal. He doesn't even look at it. And he says, oh, give me a stick. And he grabs a stick, he puts the cymbal on his finger, and he hit it. And he put it back in the plastic bag and handed me the bag. He goes, that's the best special effects cymbal I ever heard. You better make that. Wow. And I went, yes, sir, you're right. That is the best special effects cymbal I ever heard. I better. And I had it made the next day.
Wow.
And Armin was in his 70s, and he taught me a lesson. Don't judge a book by its cover. You know, take everything for what it is and listen to it. Yeah. And the great thing that's happened with this was just like a special effects sound, like an alternative to a china or something. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of morphed into a special effect on its own, a stacker cymbal, and several of our artists are taking the 8, the 10, and the 14,
right,
and using it in more ways than we had envisioned when it first came out. And you were using one today in your performance, which was really, really fantastic, and it sounds great.
It does.
I
had mine up.
So this is one of the cool cymbals, you know, that I got to work on in my younger years. So it's really, really great.
Good.
Yeah.
Kaz, what have you got for us? What's your show and tell?
And just to let you know, that is purple, that cymbal.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I can see purple in that one.
In the colour as well.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. So my one is, it may be a bit confusing, but it's just basically, it's one key.
One key?
This key. One key. One fate. Okay. So this key holds all my all my old drum gear that I have, and I have a special lockup for it. And I keep, every month I go to it to just appreciate what I have actually earned from since I was 10 years old.
Okay.
So this room, I go into this room, it looks a bit tatty.
But it's all there.
It's all there. I look at it and I never want to sell it. I never want to sell the things I had, like, you know, I pulled out one of those cymbals, that my first ever crash, which was a Oriental trash crash, which was like a 16-inch, and Paul and I had a really good conversation about it. And I never knew what it was, but I pulled that out and I said, you know, this is something that I earned, you know, from a shop, you know, and then and I look at little things that I look back on, and it just reminds me every month that, you know, I'm blessed and thankful for everything I have. So this key,
Very
it has,
good.
That's great. Has everything. So
good story.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, well done. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Luckily,
you.
there was nothing embarrassing there.
That's the second episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, at 16 years old, you're still at school or homeschooled.
Yeah.
So, how do you get out? I know you've just been touring, and I think you're going back out again. How does that work? Do you take a tutor on tour with you, or what? How does it work?
Yeah, I don't take a tutor. I FaceTime my mom, and
okay, cool. So your mum is your tutor.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, correct.
Right.
And we go through an online school as well. I don't necessarily take online classes, but it's through an online school, and so basically just I learn from books and stuff, and I have to learn stuff and take my tests, and yeah.
Because I know your family are very supportive of you, and I know your dad
definitely
drives you around, which obviously, I mean, again.
He's so awesome as well. He looks like really cool.
Yeah.
Cooler than me.
It's possible.
Okay.
It's possible. It's possible, dude.
It's very possible. So is that a concern? I mean, you went to Russia, for example. I'm actually worried to go to Russia. So no, but you went to Russia, and you're, like I said, you're only young, and you're going out on a pop tour, if you like, or does your parents get a little bit worried, or?
I don't know. I don't know if they get worried. I mean, I've been traveling my whole life as well. Like, my grandma loves to travel, and she would take me and my older brother on trips, like, all growing up and stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. I think they're just used to it. They know that, like, I'm not gonna do anything stupid. So at least I hope not.
Well, that's what I say to my kids. Hopefully, I've done the work by bringing you up. It's up to you now to get on with it. And Kaz, like I said, I've sort of known you from the beginning of seeing you, and you have evolved into now. For example, you write most of the songs for most of the drum clinics that I go to or involved with. Somebody comes up, Aaron Spears or Chris Coleman. Oh, this is a song by another one. Oh, wow. Is that just by accident that sort of happened, or you just happened to write the songs that they like to play drums to?
So it's really crazy, and I'll tell you like a short version of it. So the first person I ever sent my track to was Aaron Spears, about 10 years ago. He played London Drum Show, and that was actually my university project. It was my assessment, which I failed on.
Oh, wow.
So I said, but I think this is a really good track. So it was called 7 to the Power 6.
Yep, I know this. He plays.
Yeah. So I sent that over to Aaron and found his email. And I just sent it and said, oh, he probably won't play it. And then he messaged me saying, oh, you don't mind if I play at London Drum Show? And like, because he was closing the show.
Yeah.
And he said, oh,
I put that on.
You did it.
That was me that put him on. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I wasn't there, unfortunately, on that day because I was abroad doing my first ever like pop gig, and I came back, and then he said, oh, are you around? And I was like, yeah. But he goes, oh man, I was looking for you because I said I was playing like a track by my friend Kaz, and it's like, oh my god, this is Aaron. Like, he's a massive inspiration to me. So yeah, that's how it built up. And then when everybody found out in London that I wrote this, they were just and then Chris met me again, and I've written like, well, maybe 4 tracks for Chris, and he's always asking me for more tracks.
That's great.
And then his one was the idea behind it is that I don't actually think, like, I know how they play, so I just make the track.
Oh, you write the song for
them? Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Based on how they play.
Yeah.
And they never get back to me saying, oh, could you change this and that? They're like, it feels like I'm right at home, and I'm like, I know, because I designed it based on your playing. Hence the reason the track for Tosh and I designed the song based on how he plays.
Okay, and this is well, I suppose it is a sales pitch for you as well. But you've got songs available online, people can buy. Well, there you go. I mean, you have, because it's a modern music -1, if you like. I mean, so they're play along songs. I mean, tell people.
So they're available. I've got 3 albums out there. My 3rd one, which I'm really humbled for, went gold.
That's great.
In the record.
Congratulations.
It's sold 5 copies.
It's sold.
No, sorry.
Actually, 450,000.
I'm joking.
No, it was great. It was great, but it was a really like a shocking moment for me, because I was like, pop artists don't even get that, and I was like,
but these are with and without, you know. So that, you know, obviously you're playing on them, but they're, you know, I don't know if there's much material like that out there.
Yeah, it's great because all the other guys like Devon Taylor and all those guys, all the drummers like really love it. Yeah. You know, and I'm really honoured and humbled for that, and to meet them in person, and it's just really, really lovely to hear. And the 4th album will be coming out next month. But yeah, it's all on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon, and you know just have
Apple Music.
Just have fun with it.
Listen, have fun with it, guys. Thank you very, very much for being a guest today.
Thank you.
You've got to check these guys out. I mean, they're on social media. Well, I don't think Paul's not, because, you know, he's old. But no. But check these guys out on Instagram, you know, Twitter, etc., etc. And like I said, it's been a great, fun show. So Kaz, Tosh, and Paul.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mike Dolbear Web Show. If you want more, please subscribe to my YouTube page, Drum Clips, and you want to see Season 1 and Season 2, just click on the button now.